Hello everyone, welcome back to the second circle. Let's go ahead and continue. I think today we're gonna go for judgment. One day as you're hanging out around the house, you come to the realization that you've seen very little judgment since you moved in. No sooner does this thought occur to you, however, than you happen to come across the demon in the living room. She's sitting by the window and, with her back turned to you, it's clear she doesn't notice you right away. Thinking that there must be something on the windowsill that has captured her attention, you decide to creep up closer to get a better look at whatever it is that has her so enthralled. Then as you draw near, you catch a glimpse of the object of admiration, a tiny caterpillar. You step even closer and are surprised to find that Judgment is trying to corral the creature into the palm of her gauntlet. Sadly, the insect, seeming put off by the feel of the metal, resists her endeavors. You wonder for a moment why Judgment doesn't simply scoop the thing up, but then it occurs to you that she's fearful she might hurt it if she were to do so. Only then do you decide to alert the demon to presence. And once the demon leaps her feet and spins to face you, blushing profusely, she wears the expression of someone who is caught with their hand in the cookie jar, so to speak. Mortal! You startled me. Sorry about that. I just wanted to see what you're doing over here. Oh, I have discovered an intruder. An intruder? You mean that caterpillar? Indeed, we must dispose of it swiftly. I suppose so. Here, let me take care of it. Judgment steps aside and you approach the windowsill. As you bend down to scoop the caterpillar up into your hand, you hear a small gasp at your back. Peering over your shoulder, you see Judgment staring intently back at you. Well, what are you waiting for, mortal? Dispose of the trespasser. With a nod, you scoop the creature up into your hand and hold it aloft. I think I'm just going to put this little fella out into the garden. A look of relief flashes over Judgment's expression. Oh. Do you think that wise, fool? Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. You turn to make your way for a back door. Judgment follows you all the way up until you venture out into the garden. Oh, it seems Judgment cares about the little caterpillar. As you deposit the caterpillar out into a bush, you look up to see the demon watching you from the window. Something about the look on her face strikes you as odd. Perhaps it is what you've never seen the demon look quite so vulnerable before. Before you can fully comprehend the matter, however, your eyes meet and an expression melts away before your eyes. You make your way inside, only to find yourself accosted at once by Judgment. How could you just allow that creature to escape, mortal? It was probably lost in the first place. Caterpillars don't typically like the indoors all too much. Very well. What if it had done you harm then? What? That little guy? Nah, caterpillars are harmless. They don't really become a nuisance until they turn into butterflies and get their wings. Wings? Yeah. Once those guys start flying around, they can be a bit of a nuisance, triggering holes in clothes and drapes and such. Or maybe I'm thinking of moths. What is the meaning of this, Taker? What more can you tell me of these creatures? Well, you see... Come to think of it, I don't actually know all that much about butterflies. They very well could be dangerous for all I know. Aha! How about this? There's a butterfly conservatory that just opened up nearby. What do you say we go there and we can both learn a little bit more about these enemies of ours? Judgment cheeks redden at your suggestion. She looks shyly to the side, and you can see her seriously contemplating your offer. Yes, Martel. I think this would be satisfactory. When the afternoon rolls around, you decide to call the conservatory in advance to see if they offer tours. Much to your delight, they do. So you book a tour and approach the demon regarding your date at the conservatory. Think it might be a nice surprise. Decide to keep the tour a secret. For now. Ready to go? Fool, I was born ready. Without further ado, you load up into the car and head down to the park. There, you're greeted by the sight of the conservatory looming over the grassy knolls. As you approach the giant, glassy building, you're met by a young man at the door. From the logo on his polo shirt, you can see that he's one of the conservatory's tour guides. Hello, it must be my late afternoon tour. That's us. Tour? What is this man talking about, Taker? I went ahead and called in advance to book a tour for us. Since they know more about butterflies than we do, I thought going on a tour would be the best way for us both to learn. At this, color rushes into Judgment's face. Oh. Yes, that sounds wonderful actually. Thank you. The sudden sincerity in Judgment's voice takes you off guard. Before you can process what you just heard, the tour guide claps his hands together, drawing your attention. Excellent! Now let's head inside, shall we? With the young man leading the way, you and Judgment make your way into the conservatory. First, you stop inside a large welcome room. Before we get started, I'm going to ask you to remove your gloves. I'm afraid we don't allow weapons or weapon-like objects inside the conservatory. We have our lockers here for temporary storage, so I can assure you that they will be well looked after. At first, you fear that Judgment will envelop the poor man in chains and throw him into the relents. Instead, Judgment nods and removes her gauntlets. She hands them off to the front desk worker, who nearly buckles under the weight. That matter taken care of, the tour guide leads you into the spacious conservatory room at large, where the butterflies are free to linger about all over. As you pass through the great glass double doors, you wonder about the sudden appearance of this soft-spoken side of Judgment that you've never seen before. Though peculiar, and vastly different from the first impression you got from her down in hell, you find yourself excited at the opportunity to learn more about this more gentle facet of her personality. You smile as you watch the demons bend down to examine a caterpillar on a leaf. Tell me, boy, how long does it take for these creatures to become airborne? With a sigh, you realize that, for whatever reason, Judgment's more gentle side is buried deep. You're pleased to see that the tour guide seems unfazed by a demon's sudden outburst. Well, the typical metamorphosis cycle occurs over the course of 30 days. Some species vary from that number by a couple of days or so, but generally speaking, it takes about a month for a caterpillar to become a butterfly. A month? That does not give us much time to prepare, mortal. What do they usually? That's a good question, actually. For the most part, a caterpillar's diet consists almost entirely of plant matter. After they undergo metamorphosis, however, their food choice changes depending on the species. Most butterflies eat plant nectar, but others may choose to feed on things like tree sap, fruits, or even decaying animal matter. So they are meat eaters. Some of them are, yes, but most butterflies have quite the sweet tooth. If you want to feed them yourself, you could put out a plate of chopped fruit, wherein just a simple solution of sugar and water is enough to get their attention. Would you like to feed one? Yes, please. At this, the young man reaches for a squeeze ball that he keeps on his belt. He then takes Judgment's hand, dabs on the liquid into her palm, and prompts her to hold her arm aloft. In no time, a butterfly lands right into the demon's hand and begins to lap at the sugary substance of his narrow tongue. It tickles. It does a little, doesn't it? Would you like to try too, sir? I would. The man pours some of the sugar water into her palm as well, and soon enough you, too, have attracted the attention of a couple hungry butterflies. As Judgment stares intently at the creatures floating about her palm, you find their attention is on her instead. It's hard to believe that this is the same demon who once tried to trap you for an eternity of torment in hell. If you put a little on the tip of your finger and draw a line down the bridge of your nose, you might even get one to land there. As I understand, doing that makes for a great photo opportunity. Like this? Before the tour guide can answer, a butterfly lands right in Judgment's face, startling the demon. Oh! The three of you share in a round of laughter before carrying on with the tour. Before you're quite ready for it to end, the tour concludes and you and Judgment return to the waiting area to retrieve her gloves. Just before you leave the conservatory area, you hear a tiny crunch followed by a gasp of anguish. You turn around at once to see Judgment kneeling on the ground. Upon close inspection, you notice a tiny, mangled caterpillar body laying on the path. A few tears fall onto the concrete next to it, and you're privy to an unmistakable sound of sniffling. Oh no. Hey, Judgment? Before you can say anything else, Judgment stands. Despite the tears in her eyes, her jaw is set. Whatever it is you saw in her expression earlier is gone. Now you can only see the High Prosecutor of Hell standing before you. Foolish creature. Let that be a warning to all of your kind who think it wise to cross me. For him, Judgment, the High Prosecutor of Hell. At this, Judgment brushes past you on her way to retrieve her belongings. Sadly, all you can do is watch as the demon dons her gauntlets and sends her sights on the door. You follow, and soon enough the two of you are at the car with your sights set on home. After a silent and somber drive, you arrive at your front door. Judgment is quick to get out of the car. Thank you for today, mortal. It was enjoyable. The eyes are still red from her tears. You decide to say nothing of the caterpillar. I'm glad you had a good time, Judgment. Perhaps we can do it again sometime. Perhaps. And with that, the demon turns and hurries into the house. You follow, but catch no sign of her anywhere. Only the sound of a slamming door meets your ears. For the rest of the day, Judgment's door remains closed. No sight of the demon within. Late one night, you are dragging yourself to bed after you, Modius, Panamonica, and Melina sat down for an impromptu movie marathon. And there's a bright light spilling out into the hallway from the crack underneath Azazel's door. With a groan, you make your way over and knock on the door. From inside, you hear the momentary shuffling of papers before a small voice answers you. Yes? Who is it? There's something about the angel's chipper tone that makes you question your own sanity, let alone hers. Azazel, you do realize how late it is, don't you? All of a sudden, the door swings open, and Azazel stands before you. Oh my god, Azazel, you look wiped out. Though you can tell from a distant look in her eyes that she hasn't slept a wink, the angel seems unfazed by that fact. Oh, hello there, Mr. Taker. Goodness me, is it that late already? I should be getting to bed, shouldn't I? Yes, you should. Against her better judgment, you look past Azazel and peer into the messy room behind her. While you wouldn't describe the space as being typically tidy, there is something extra chaotic about the state of it tonight that causes you to worry for the angel's mental state. What are you working on in there anyway? Oh, my thesis. Azazel turns to look at her mass of scattered papers, Aline towers of books with a strange sense of pride in her voice. Your thesis? Indeed. I had this theory that there's a way to classify everything in existence. I see. And how have you arrived at this idea? As soon as the words leave your lips, you immediately regret them, and once Azazel's eyes begin to shimmer with excitement. Before you can escape, she draws in a deep breath in preparation for what you can only imagine is an incredibly lengthy explanation. Well, you see, I first intended to focus solely on non-living things that are made up of physical matter. But then, I realized that doing so would force me to contend a plethora of questions regarding the quantification of life. And I, personally, am simply not interested in answering such inquiries, so I expanded my research to include living things as well. That whole conundrum of course got me thinking. Maybe there's an argument to be made that I'm ignoring the fourth dimension entirely. In that case, shouldn't I try to include things that once existed as well as things that are yet to exist? I suppose. And while I'm at it, I really shouldn't discriminate when it comes to things that exist only within our plane of reality. That is to say, heaven, hell, and the world in between. So needn't I include things from all the realms? Wait, you mean to tell me there are other... You know what? Never mind. What I'm gathering is this. You aim to find a way to put everything, all living and non-living things that exist in the past, present, and future from all realms of existence into a comprehensive classification system. Yep. And that's why you're awake at 3 in the morning? Yep. Feeling the approach of an imminent headache, begin to massage your temples. Well, that's quite the undertaking, Zazzle. Don't you think you'd be better prepared to tackle it if you perhaps got some rest? There's no time for rest, Mr. Taker. If I plan to get my thesis finished this millennia, I must spend as much time as I can working. Very well. Then how about this? There's a museum in the city that has a whole slew of exhibits that I'm sure would be perfect for your research. If you promise to go to bed, I'll take you there tomorrow. At the mere mention of the museum, Azaz's eyes become as wide as saucers. Do you really mean it, Mr. Taker? I do. Now, do we have a deal? Too right we do. Good night, Mr. Taker. And with that, Azazel shuts the door in your face, leaving you staring alone in the shadowy hallway, quite stunned and yet, in a way, satisfied. As you make your way to your own bed, you peek over your shoulder just in time to see the light in the angel's room click off, plunging the corridor into total darkness. True to your word, you're up early the next morning, dressed and ready to take Azazel to the museum. Before you can so much as knock on the angel's door, it swings open and Azazel's there, notepad in hand, bouncing on your heels with elation. Museum time? Museum time. The both of you load up into the car and set off for the city. Though the museum is a fair distance away, Azazel turns what could otherwise be a long, quiet, and perhaps some boring drive into one filled with nauseating, thorough lecture on every intimate detail of her thesis and the research that she has done thus far. With each passing moment, you feel as though your very presence in the universe is shrinking. Fortunately, just as Azaz is about to launch a discussion around quantum physics and the fourth dimension, you arrive at your destination. As you shut off the engine, you turn to see your companion brimming with excitement. Before she can leave the car, however, you clear your throat to grab her attention. Hey, Azazel. What is it, Mr. Taker? Listen, I just want to know that I understand there have been a lot of changes lately. What with you and everyone else moving in all at once, you know? It's just a lot to get used to. Sure, I suppose. But I don't understand what I'm trying to say is that I'm here for you if you ever need to talk about anything, you know? If something is bothering you, you don't have to, keep it all bottled up. Is this because of how late I was up last night? Well, yes. Oh, I see. The angel sighs and her shoulders sag. It is as if every ounce of her joyous energy has left her all at once. I can't stand seeing Azazel so sad. You have never seen her look so downtrodden before. You must think I'm weird too. No, I suppose I can't blame you. I mean, not many people get quite as excited about research as I do. It's just that I'm really passionate, you know? I didn't think that was a bad thing. Azazel, if you want the truth, Mr. Taker, I've never felt happier than when I came to live with you. Being around you guys, it's like I have a family. People who accept me unconditionally, even if some aspects of me are a little odd. And because of that, I've had the comfort and freedom to pursue the things that mean the most to me. Anyway, thanks for driving me to the museum. You can come and pick me up later. Azazel, wait. I feel as though I owe you an apology. I can see that my assumptions have hurt your feelings, and for that I'm sorry. I hope you'll believe me when I say that I don't find your curiosity strange or off-putting. I only said what I said because I was worried about you. If you'll permit me, I would like to make amends in any way that I can. Got a full day to explore this museum, and a lot of research yet to do. So tell me, how can I help? Azazel looks at you skeptically, though it's clear that she wants to believe you. You, nevertheless, see traces of hurt behind her clear blue eyes. Do you mean that? I do. The angel nods, accepting your apology. Very well. Come, let's see what the museum has in store for us. Get out of the car and follow Azazel up to the museum. Inside, you're immediately presented with a directory that covers an entire wall. From the looks of things, there's so much in this museum that will be impossible to get through all of it in one day. Nevertheless, you're determined to cover as much ground as possible with the time that you have. With Azazel leading the way, you spend the next several hours hopping from one exhibit to the next. As you make your way through, the angel fills notebook after notebook with her findings. As the day approaches its end, you have no less than 2 armfuls of filled notebooks between you. You've never seen someone write so much so quickly. After glancing at the clock, you turn to Azazel. We got 1 hour left. Just enough time to hit one more exhibit. So, what'll it be? There! Azazel points at an art exhibit of all things, one which, much like the rest of the museum, sees precious little in the way of foot traffic. The sign over the entrance reads, Renaissance. With a shrug, you follow the angel inside. Once there, you're surrounded by white walls, marble floors, and massive well-lit paintings. As you peruse the art, you cannot help but notice that Azazel is particularly enthralled by one piece in particular. At first you think nothing of it, but soon you're calling over the curator. Pardon me, sir, but I'd like to ask you about this piece here. Why, yes, ma'am. What would you like to know? Are you aware that this piece in particular is a forgery? All of a sudden, the murmur that had once permeated through the gallery is strangled into silence. What few patrons linger nearby gasp at the revelation. You nearly drop the notebooks in your arms as you hurry over to where Azazel and the curator are standing. When you arrive, you notice that the curator is turning a vivacious shade of violet. I implore you to reconsider this accusation, miss. What for? I'm not lying. Why, you're quick to step in between Azazel and the mounting rage of the art curator. The fact that you tire of the man seems to do well to subside his anger for the moment. Please relax her, I promise you she means no harm. The curator sputters. No harm? Did you hear what she said about my gallery? I did. And you honestly mean to tell me that you believe what she is saying? Yes. As a matter of fact, I do. That's it. I want the 2 of you out of this gallery, and out of this museum. From now on, you're banned. Do you hear me? Banned! With the stubbly little man hot on your heels, and his ass will book it out of the museum. Once you get to your car, you dump in the books in the back seats and jump in to stir up the engine. Before you drive off, Azazel puts your hand on your forearm. Thank you. You stuck up for me back there even though it caused you trouble. That means a lot. I help you now. I promise to always back you up from now on, okay? Now let's get the hell out of here. And that was it for now. I think the next one we're gonna go with the last remaining few. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and maybe tell me who your favorite demon girl is. Or Taker himself, who knows. Anyways, if you want to play this for yourself, links will be provided down below. And if you missed any videos of this, please check the playlist down below. Anyways, thank you. Take care.